This is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and this is, of course, a discussion of what used to be popular and it's kind of the trends from big choppers to other alternatives. And of course, this is the RTAC-II from Randall Adventure Training, made by Ontario Knives, and this was back in the day when Randall and Rat were actually together as a company. And you know, this one's gotten a little bit of use, this, there, or the other. Should I have cleaned it up before bringing it on camera? Yeah, I should have. Or picked one that possibly hadn't been used. But I think of that I only have one. Because like 5-6 years ago I made the video where what they had done was they had overground right through there and basically thinned out the other knife. And the other knife would basically set on its own handle, which means the center of gravity was back in here, and for choppers you really don't want that. Of course, Randall Adventure Training is no longer associated with Ontario Knives. Ontario, of course, won the lawsuit because they had the better attorneys, and now they have the ESEE knives, and this is the SE Hunglas, which is, of course, their creation. Same as this was their design also. But 1095, this, there, the other. Of course, this one's full flat, and then on this one they chose to do a saber grind. High saber, but it's still a saber. Still a flat area there, which is fine, and have no problem with that, and that gives a lot more strength out near the end of the knife if you compare them side by side. But that's really not about that. And of course, you know, everybody remembers the Ontario cheese and this, there, the other, and a lot of people that had a lot of respect for Randall Adventure basically stopped buying Ontario knives basically over that one thing. And then they went to this type of setup for this knife. But it's really not about the story of Rat. What I really want to talk about is basically why people have fallen out of favor with these big choppers, and it all gets back to efficiency and weight. This thing weighs 32.9 ounces, almost 33 ounces, and that thing that's over 2 pounds, 2.052 pounds. Let me see if I can get that out of the glare there. Anyway, so we're over 2 pounds with this knife. You could see some rounding error there. The old RTAC-II, of course, was 29.5, and of course this is heavier due to the Kydex and this, there, or the other. The knife itself may be lighter, who the hell knows, don't care. And then, of course, this is still a very popular knife, the Becker BK9, and why it's popular is you can read it on the scale, 24.7 ounces. That's a tremendous amount different, almost half a pound lighter. And that half a pound is with the micarta handles on it, as opposed to the whatever handles they come with. They have a name for them, I don't even care. So basically, this is a half a pound lighter than the other one, the other offering. So everything's basically gone to a lighter package. Becker BK9, and of course this is the older finish that K-Bar used to put on them. If you watch my other video, my previous video, comparing the two, and then I will show you a Becker BK15 that has not been modified, not been molested, and not been destroyed, because I did destroy one of these, but you would never do to your knife what I put this one through. And you can see that that texturing right there, and that's what Ethan Becker said. And you can also see how fine of an edge that is, and how mine actually, you know, comes much higher, this, there, the other. And then here is the original K-Bar finish. And then I could have pulled a Camillus up here too, or a Camillus, but I really, it's not my shit. all I had to do was walk 5-6 feet, whatever. So we basically have the difference between the hungless. Go back to it. We have, you know, about 33 ounces, a little over 2 pounds. But let's leave it on the poundage there for a minute. And let's talk about things that I actually use. And I actually use this Condor Go Lock. And see, my Condor Go Lock's still lighter than the SA Hungless. Now this is not, of course, the one I use. Because it's not all screwed up. And it's full tang. Let me find the one that I have that I actually use all the time. Let me see if I can grab it off the shelf, boy. Yeah, boy. This one still might not be it, but it's still a more representative sample. See, this one's not full tang. And I don't believe this is the one I'm using. I think this was my original backup. I've used it a few times. Do a little bit of stuff, but really, believe it or not, the things that I'm doing with this are not that heavy duty. I mean, when you're cutting thistles and you're cutting just little briar and brush and this, that, or the other around the tree farm. Of course, remember, we have 80,000 trees that we have planted on our farm. So I use these to actually deal with it. So we've got the Condor Go Lock that is actually lighter than the damn SA Hungless, and the center of gravity of this knife is, you know, the mass of steel is way out the end, okay? And that's just the way it is. Even with the bad copies of this, or their first versions of this, the metal still comes all the way back through the rivets and all the way back to where your hand is. So really, you know, you can't beat anything on it, but I've never had to beat anything. And when I get tired, that big knob in my hand, this thing not slinging out of my hand, really makes a hell of a difference. So anyway, this is what I use out in the field. I have a few of them. I have probably one in every vehicle, just that I would go out into the farm in. So it's still even lighter, and it's a machete. So it would be a better choice for me, and it's, what, 1070 carbon steel or this, that, or the other. But what everyone's really going towards are basically these axes. And of course, this is a Gransford Brooks from Sweden. And of course, it has the, you know, you know the story. And of course, this thing is extremely sharp. And comes with a sheath and this, there, or the other, And of course, everyone's moving towards these axes. And it's a real simple explanation as far as why people are doing that. It's just because what they can do for the weight that they are. And of course, this is their small forest axe. So we have almost 2 pounds. So we are 0.2 of a pound more, but let's put that in ounces. So we are 34.9 ounces as opposed to this SA Hungless, which is 32.85. So all we have, 2.1 ounces more weight. And we have all of the metal out here at the end, which makes it a very effective chopper, as opposed to the Hungless that has this sheath. And of course, we could take this off of it and save a little bit of weight, but you still have that Kydex sheath, you still have this, there, or the other, and you still have metal back in here, and you still have a lot of stuff changing the center of gravity. You still have metal all the way back through here changing the center of gravity of this knife. The center of gravity of the Hungless is basically right there, like a chef's knife, right there in front of the handle. Well, where is it on this axe? Let's see if I can get it to balance. It's right there. Well, your hand's way back here, okay? So your center of gravity is that much farther forward on this as opposed to this. and you only have 2.1 ounces more weight, but you have a much improved chopper, what would you choose? That's the reason people have moved away from these types of pieces of gear, unless you're, you know, a little bit, you know, slow on the uptake, and gone to something like this. And the cost between these two is really comparable. And for the amount of work this will do for 2.1 ounces more than this, it's really no comparison. Another thing that's changed in the industry, and I forgot to address this, but let's go back to this, and as far as how people are basically using lanyards, and you can see how small that lanyard is on that. Well, this lanyard was designed to kind of be a little tight on your hand and let it come back, and, you know, if you drop it this, there, or the other, you could use it to choke up, you know, to grab the back of it, and, you know, this, there, or the other. And of course, this is a little loose on my hand because everything's set up generally for me to have gloves on. But the more modern way of doing it is you take the knife and you basically loop your hand through the lanyard, roll the knife into your hand, and that locks it in, and you can still do all of the things that you want to do. But when your knife, if your knife comes out of your hand, anything like that, it doesn't swing towards your body. It swings kind of away from your body, and it's more of a that kind of movement instead of a back at you like this movement. It's just a little safer way of doing it. I just wanted to bring that up now that I had two examples. You know, I'll never have that opportunity again, because I think this is the first time this has ever been on video for me, and it will probably be its last. But there's just kind of some trends in the industry. I started out here like a lot of people did. I bought this from Smoky Mountain Knife Works when they had a closeout. For some reason, some Christmas sale or something. I'm never ever going to stop using my Becker. I need to put a lanyard back on it because I haven't done it since I put the handles on it. Smart me. But it's just a little too, these things are a little too big. They're not heavy duty enough. They're not this, there, or the other. Now, should I put I'm going to put a leather collar up on this one just in case, you know, I screw up. But my axe that I actually do use, my Gransford Brooks small forest axe, which I actually do use, I haven't had any problem with. Of course, I have to basically put boiled linseed oil on the handle every so often, have to make sure and keep this basically clean, dry, and then of course I put fat or something, you know, you can use beeswax, or you can do anything on this leather to keep it supple. But I just wanted to kind of, over the last couple videos, you know, take a moment, be kind of serious, and then show you some of the things that have really changes in the industry, and these are the things that this axe allows me to make the choice of the Mora Bushcraft Black and feel very confident. Of course, this is only 5.5 ounces. We've got this, you know, and I can do a tremendous amount of work with that. But back in the day, you know, this was popular, and I fall into trends just the same as anyone. Now, because these weren't what I would use for my job, these weren't what I do, this, there, or the other. I've always used smaller knives similar to these. If you saw my last video, 10 ounces is about my max of what I really will carry. And it's guns, knives, and watches, baby. If you want to go out bushcrafting, you want to go out and do a lot of things, this is a great setup. In a survival pack, this is a little overkill. You could probably get away with just the Mora, because most of the time your survival pack is a survival pack because you've screwed up because of this, that, or the other, and you've got to have something that actually has some, you know, is not too heavy, is not too this, that, or the other. I know you can carry the axe in your pack, and you could have it in your car, or you could do whatever, and that's a great deal. But my pack goes on my back a lot, which is why I have to really deal with things and be so concerned with weight and be so, I guess, overly obsessed with it. Anyway, this is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and just some ideas, thoughts, and just trends in the industry. So, I'm going to get back to making stupid videos here in a minute, and peace out. We gonna have some fun, boy. Woo!